Do you struggle with being consistent, feeling confident, and attracting the cash, the clients, the opportunities to you? Then you're going to want to listen to this podcast. Hello and good morning. This is Stefi Lane, and I'm coming to you from really early in the morning. So you may hear my voice a little bit raspier than normal. I had one of those mornings when you wake up and you just have a breakthrough. You're like, oh my God, there's my messaging. There it is. Here's a thing I've been like looking and searching for the last 10 years. And while I'm very good at messaging, and that's actually something I help my clients with, is messaging and marketing and really understanding like how they do what they do from a spiritual level, and then also from like a strategic sales marketing level. There's there's a big component to it. It's not just like I help a certain amount of people. It's actually really understanding the nuances of all of that, what it takes for your messaging. But first, where I was going with that is it's so early in the morning. But where I was going with that is I do offer an intensive, and it's on my website at stefilane.com/intensive if you wanted to do a really deep dive on your messaging and get clear on what the messaging is for you, the internal, the external, and the psychological problem that you solve, and just really bounce some ideas off someone. It really does help. Anyways, so in this podcast, in this episode, I'm going to talk about why you need confidence, why you need to be confident, and why you need to do the consistency activities in your business and in your life so you can attract the cash, you can attract the clients. And this episode, because it is early, because I just got this idea literally like 30 minutes ago when I woke up, it's going to be part workshop for myself and part storytelling. There's just so much. Let me take you back. I'm going to take you back to 2014, 2015. I was working alcohol promos and I didn't really drink that much at that time. And it felt super inauthentic. Like I was living a double life because during the day I was like teaching yoga and bar. And then at night I was going to bars and restaurants and to special events and golf tournaments. And I was slanging some type of alcohol, whether it was Bacardi, it was Grand Marnier, it was Hennessy. I'm sure they're fine with me saying their names. One of my biggest clients was Moet Hennessy, which now is actually, he's one of the most richest people in the world, the CEO of Moet Hennessy, which he is richer than Elon Musk, which is wild. But I worked for the Moet Hennessy house and I worked for them for 7 years. Oh my goodness. And I would do these events and do this stuff. And it was basically around, being pretty and talking about the products and hitting the talking points and being like a brand ambassador. Now, after not doing it for a few years, and I got paid really well. I think we got paid, I got paid like $45 an hour. This was 10 years ago, or like about roughly like 8 or 9 years ago. So I was actually, I would say the equivalent of like $75 now. I don't know. I'm not very good with inflation and understanding that, but if it was like a lot of money and I would have so much fun and I would work for like 2 to 4 hours. Sometimes I would go, okay, let me tell you this. Sometimes call myself like the sprinter because I'm a manifesting generator. So I can sprint, but I need rest. I need lots and lots of rest. And sometimes I would say to myself, okay, what if I worked Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then I took Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday off, And sometimes I would teach a yoga class here and there, but it wasn't much. And sometimes I would start on like a Friday and I'd work till 12 p.m. to 12 midnight. And then the next day I would do the same thing. And then Sunday I would probably do it like 12 to like 4 or something. And I would walk away with like $1,000 just for one weekend, which like kind of like felt like I was like a bartender, but I wasn't a bartender and I didn't have to deal with, I actually had to deal with drunk people. But when I was a promo model, when I was slanging alcohol, it was fun and it was good for what it was. But I actually really learned a lot about marketing and I learned a lot about branding. I learned a lot about positioning. I worked for these high-end brands because they wanted to be affiliated with good-looking people doing things out in the town, having a cocktail, feeling sophisticated. But now that I don't drink, when you get to the root of it, they're just selling alcohol, which, in my opinion, is a terrible product. It messes up your liver, it messes up your hormones, it makes you groggy, it doesn't make you feel good. So I didn't want to rep that anymore. That wasn't in congruence. My friend said this, she's a psychologist. She's like, it wasn't incongruent with who I was, who I am. And I hope I'm using that correctly, but I really liked that word. It wasn't incongruent. And what happened with this, oh my gosh, see, it's so early and my brain isn't on. Oh my God. But I'm going to keep this in because this is so fun. You're seeing like this whole process. I was just talking about, okay, alcohol. And oh yeah, I took you back to 2015, 2014. I was doing all these things and I wanted more from my life. I was wanting more. I was like, this is feeling like I am not living up to my potential. I'm not going to just like tell my kids, like, oh, yeah, your mom was a promo model for alcohol and guys stared at her tits and she served him shots and that was her life. Like, I didn't want that. I wanted something more. So I really dived into yoga and teaching and online marketing. And I just was like, I really want something more. And so I started to become an online marketing strategist. But to do this, to make this leap, to make this jump, I had to be confident in my ability to do this. And I know confidence is something that people say, they say it all the time, just be confident, be confident, be confident. But confidence is actually quite challenging and quite challenging for women as they get older because you get comfortable. And I'm really glad that I was able to make those leaps in my late 20s. I was mid to late 20s because I feel like you don't really have much to lose. When you get older, it's a little bit harder because you're like, oh my God, if I make these moves, there are more repercussions for them. How is this going to affect my husband, my partner, my family? How is it going to affect all the things, right? And also, we care a lot about what people think about us. And I know that is not what you want to hear, but confidence is not caring what people think about you. Confidence is creating the conviction, creating the clarity, creating the consistent action and having that muscle and having your back knowing and trusting I can do this. I have the confidence. I have the ability that I can do this. I can make this happen. I can have this business. I can go after the thing I want. I can take the leap and I'm going to be fine no matter what. Of course, have savings and things in the background, have a part time job so you can feel confident because nothing rattles confidence more than not having a regulated nervous system. And I did some really crazy, crazy crap in my late to mid 20s that I definitely don't recommend. I don't know. It is what it is. I did it in the moment, but I quit my job and I didn't have any savings and I was tired. I was so tired of being like a promo model and slanging something that I didn't even like, that I didn't even endorse. I didn't even endorse alcohol. And now I don't even endorse it at all. Like I'm completely 100% sober at the moment and I feel like I'm going to be like that for the rest of my life. And that's where confidence is a key component into becoming magnetic, into becoming the person, the business person, the identity, the successful person that you want to be. And then the doing is the consistency. And there are so many ways you can form your consistency. You can change things. And I'm going to get into that, like how consistency doesn't have to be showing up every day. I usually have really, really intense periods, intense cycles, intense, bleeds. And I have to sometimes just disappear for those 3 to 4 days. And I do. I used to make myself wrong for it, but I do. I disappear. It's usually the day before, usually day one and day two. I know TMI, but I'm telling you all the scoop. I disappear. And the thing was, I got upset with myself because I told myself I'd be consistent on something. I was actually going to telling myself to be consistent on selling on social for like 15 days. And then I was going to do it for 30 days and like invite people in. And I only got to day 8. And then my period came and I was disappeared for 3 days. And I was like, God, I'm just not consistent. I'm not consistent. But then I really gave myself so much love in that moment because I was realizing that it wasn't that I wasn't consistent. I was still consistent. I was still plugged in, but I just was giving myself rest. And I was giving myself that calmness that I needed, that rest of what I needed in that moment. So what I'm talking about is consistency. So consistency is speaking, showing, being in on what you are doing. And oh my gosh, I don't know how I'm teaching this because I was probably one of the least consistent people. And that's what I wanted to record this podcast because I would show up for a week and then I would disappear for a month. I would try on a certain messaging and then I would be like, oh, this doesn't work. And I would literally try it on for like 2 or 3 times. And then I would be like, oh, this isn't working. I'm going to do this. I would compare myself to other people and be like, well, why is she getting all these clients and she's doing all these things? And I wasn't being consistent. I wasn't being congruent. I wasn't being a person of my word of showing up. I was not showing up on social. I wasn't doing the emails. I wasn't even showing up consistently for my clients. And my clients probably in the past felt it. I would, show up guns and blazing, really like high vibe in the beginning. And this is actually something I've had to work with is thinking I had to be high vibe with my clients because my clients love when I'm like super magnetic and I'm fun and I'm vivacious. I remember it's early in the mornings. And I had to find peace that me showing up consistent didn't mean that I had to be this ball of energy or this ray of sunshine. Consistent meant that I was on reading the notes from their last meeting. I was, giving them clarity. I was showing up. I was giving them, solutions to their problems. And I was really in on those moments. That's what I had to learn. And then another thing with consistency that I struggled with was I would get really mad, like a toddler throwing a tantrum, really mad if something didn't happen the way that I wanted it to happen. And that's the thing about life, especially business, is you're going to try a couple things and you're going to figure out what actually works, and it's going to be surprising the thing that actually works. And it's going to be surprising the thing you thought that was going to work and it didn't work. So with consistency, it is trying things on. It is being that mad scientist. It is being like, okay, this worked, this didn't work, and understanding and studying the feedback, studying the correlations, being like, okay, when I did this, it got this response. When I did that, it got crickets. And I just reminding myself that consistency is just being in. It's being in. And that is something that I want to I feel like I can definitely coach on and train because I was terrible. I sucked at consistency. I so I even say like I am a late bloomer to a lot of things. I have taken the time that I needed to take. I've actually had to make peace with this because I used to say, oh, I'm a late bloomer. Things come to me really late. It takes a long time for me to learn my lessons. It's taken me over 10 years to go over this. I have a mentor right now where she's like, I was successful in 2 years. And I hired her because she was like extremely triggering because that is not my case. Yeah, girl, I have been in on this. I have been trying things. I have been doing things. I have YouTube videos from like 2013. I probably should make them public, but I made them unlisted. Like I have been in this game, and I feel like I am in it to win it, and I'm in it for the long haul, and I'm in it for sustainability. I feel like I'm going to have that hockey stick success because I have been doing my reps, and I have been doing them poorly, and I have not been doing them well, and I keep changing the workout routine. But now I'm actually in the last year, in the last year especially, I've been feeling really rooted in the agency, really rooted in like what I'm doing, and I've been consistent with it. I've been consistent in all parts, like my fitness. Like your girl is doing really well on her fitness. Like my booty is looking amazing. I have been consistent in my marriage. I've been consistent with my clients. I have been really just on it. And of course, I have days, but I've been really on it. So I've been doing the thing about how I want consistency to be. And I look around at all the female women entrepreneurs around me, and oh my God, we are really bad at consistency. We are really bad with our word, and especially our word to ourselves. And actually, I went out with a friend yesterday and she was asking me like, what is the main problem that your client is struggling with? And I couldn't really answer her. And I'm going to message her later. And I couldn't really answer her at the time because I felt like I was still working out my messaging. But now I'm like, I help women be consistent. I help women be confident, consistent, so they can magnetize the cash flow, so they can be magnetic. And through that, it's through my magnet framework. I keep wanting saying magnetic, but it's actually my magnet framework. I'll go through that today. But the consistency of it, oh my God, I feel like if I can just help and train women to be consistent and what that looks like for you, because consistent may not be like the Gary V showing up, posting a million times, being on all the platforms. Consistent could be like, I just want to do my newsletter. Consistent could be like, I just want to do YouTube. I just want to go on Facebook Live. I am just going to go and have my workshops and have my retreats. Like, what is your consistency? My consistency of what I have committed to is I am going to have one piece of content through my podcast, which gets streamed through Spotify and YouTube because I absolutely freaking love YouTube. Instagram, I feel like I have a love-hate relationship with Instagram, and Facebook and I are great. Facebook's kind of like my working platform, my education platform, but I really want to crack YouTube. And then next I want to crack Instagram. But Instagram, I don't feel that I need to do that as much, but that's what I'm focusing on. That's what I'm being consistent with. I'm being consistent with my voice. I'm being consistent with what I'm sharing. I hope this is helping you understand a little bit of the thought process. Like, it's really helpful to just talk things out, grab the transcript and see what came through. And of course, like, this is early morning and I'm just rambling to you. And I hope, we can just be best friends and you can just hear me out. And then also, if you want me to hear you out, you can book an intensive at stefilane.com/intensive. But this is the thing. Why are we doing all this? Why are we being confident? Why are we being consistent? Why are we having the clarity? It's because we want the cash. We want the clients. We want the opportunities. There's something that we want. And in order to have those things, you have to be magnetic and you have to understand what magnetism is. And I did this in the very, very first podcast of the Magnetic Online Leaders podcast. So you can go ahead and listen to episode 1, but I'm just going to go through them very quickly because it also helps me. So to be magnetic, to have this magnetism, to be the magnet manifesto, there's 6 principles for me and for you and for all of us. So the first principle is the message. What do you stand for? Do you stand for something great? This has been what I haven't been struggling with this, but I just needed to revitalize this. I needed to change it for myself. I needed to better understand this for myself and then also for my clients, because I've been helping my clients immensely with messaging. Oh my God, all our calls are about messaging, literally. Second one, principles. Aligned Second one principle is aligned action. So, how do I bridge my dream to reality? I literally came from my dreams today. I was dreaming. And then it was like, here's your messaging. Your messaging is you help people be confident so they can do consistency, so they can have the cash and they can have the clients. That is your messaging. And magnetism is all about that. Magnetism is the key for that. And that felt so freeing and so good to understand because I've been struggling with getting this really, really ironed out for myself. And I didn't want to step away from the magnetism, the magnetic word, because that is, when I say that word, magnetism, my whole body just like turns into tea, turns into liquid honey. It is just absolutely delicious. So, taking the aligned action, bridging my dreams, my reality, and taking the action that's going to come from this place of clarity. The third is greatness, elevating my standards. Remember the consistency. I was deciding to be consistent. I was deciding to be great. I was deciding to be extraordinary with myself, with my clients, with my relationships, with my marriage, with my beauty, with everything. Like I was like, okay, this is, how do I elevate this? How do I make this great? I have a good example. I stayed with my friend last summer in San Diego and she had really dirty towels. And I was cleaning them one time and I told her, "Hey, I always have clean towels because," and I didn't say this in the snarky way, but I just was like, "I always have clean towels because it reminds me of a spa or a lounge or a fancy hotel, and I'm worthy of having really nice and clean towels." And I always have clean towels. Like even right now, I think my towels, I think I could get new towels. I've had them for about a year now. I could get new ones. New towels are my thing, y'all. I love a nice, clean, white, fluffy towel. And that is one of my standards. I'm like and I feel like I have like hotel standards with that, with my, with towels. Elevating greatness with the towels. So that's the thing, greatness, greatness, greatness. The fourth principle is network. This is actually something I am working on, and Andrew wants me to get stronger at because I do agree. But my strength lies in my collaborations, in my connections, in the collective. So, how do I create stronger connections with people? And maybe this is something that I'm just naturally good at that I don't even. I actually am very good at connections and networking. And maybe that's just what I'm really good at. And Andrew just wants me to lean more into my strengths. The next, remember, this is magnet, energetic and enthusiastic, radiate positivity. So remember your energy, your enthusiasm. You don't know how many things I've manifested for my energy just being me. And I've also manifested some really stanky energy if people do not like me. And I'm okay with that. I am perfectly okay with people not liking me now. But oh my God, I was so too much, so energetic, too enthusiastic, too positive for people. And now I'm just like, this is who I am. I get to be all of me. And I'm like this on my client calls because I want them to see who I am. Because if they don't like who I am, then they're not going to want to work with me. And that's just, this is who I am. The sixth principle is to teach. That's what I'm doing right now is I actually do best if I learn a concept, deconstruct it, digest it a little bit, and then I teach it. And then I literally, after I get off this call, I'm going to embody confidence, consistency, and cash 100 times more because I did this podcast, because I recorded this, because I'm going to be listening to this in the future. Hi, Steffi from the future. How are you? Hope you're well. Like I'm going to be re-listening to this over and over and over again because it's going to give me that anchor that I need to remind myself these are the components, these are the pillars that you teach to guide you. So it's important to have the things you want to speak about. And that's why you teach. But actually, let me just wrap this thought up. So with that magnet format, the framework, it's the message, it's the aligned action, it's the greatness, it's the network, it's the energetics and the enthusiastic, it's the teachings. When you embody all that, that is that magnetism that becomes infectious. by taking this and building your network and radiating positivity, you become the magnet for life in the business you've always dreamed of. And that's where the confidence and the consistency and the cash come in. So that's my framework. That's what I lead people through. But where I was going with this is with messaging, with getting the clarity, I have the pillars. So the pillars right now is the confidence, the consistency, and the cash, right? It's a be, do, have format, which is really good because I could say like just get the cash, right? But it doesn't really resonate with me. It doesn't really connect. It doesn't feel like a closed journey. It doesn't feel like a whole journey, a transformation, right? So who do they need to be? What do they need to do? And what do they want to have? And then what is the thing that they're missing? What's that secret sauce? And for me, it's the magnetism, understanding magnetism, being magnetic. And then they follow the framework. And when you're magnetic, that is when the cash, the clients, the opportunities come in. And that gives me so much clarity to put on my Instagram bio. That gives me so much clarity to write content on that. I'm actually going to challenge myself to just write on consistency for the next few weeks. I'm just going to write on being consistent because I feel like that's actually one of the things I keep hearing that women are struggling with over and over and over. I'm not consistent. I can't be consistent. I'm not consistently showing up. I'm not consistent in my business, blah, 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 blah. And that's actually something I feel like I have broken. Okay, that is something I feel like I have broken through. I dropped something and it scared me. Okay, that's something I feel like I have consistently broken through is because I was so bad at it like 10 years ago, and it's taken me years to master the art of being consistent, of how much it's so much to do with like also your human design. It's so much to do with like your heart. It's so much to do with your energy, your capacity, your lifestyle, and really emitting that and really putting that out there. And I feel like I can help a lot of women with their consistency. And that is something that I'm going to be doing in Unrecognizable, which is going to be my private coaching container. I'll link it below if you're interested in working with me privately. I will be speaking about consistency because I feel like that is the thing that is not moving the needle for a lot of women. And because I have so much experience of not being consistent and just feeling so down in the dumps about it, I don't want that for other people. I don't want that. And I want you to ooze the confidence, and I want you to have the cash, and I want you to have the clients. Like right now, I'm looking at my agency, and my agency is going to hit consistent. Oh, I love this word. Let's look it up. My agency is going to be hitting consistent income that I would have dreamed about. I would have dreamed about like a few months ago, a few years ago. I remember even in 2018, right before my house flooded, I was like, if I create these type of months, like that's game changing. And I feel like if I can create these months, then I can create my next goal is to create consistent 50K months. I have heard from many successful people that when you hit 50K months, that is when life changes. That is when things shift. That's when like you can buy whatever, really whatever you want. You can save, obviously not buy whatever you want, but you can buy the things you want. You can have the savings, you can have the surplus. And I really feel and know and have the confidence and the clarity and the consistency and feel like the cash flow is there for 50K months to happen. And especially because I want a family, I want kids, I want to take maternity leave. I actually really being a California girl, I always thought I wanted like the home in La Jolla, but I think I want like a country home in the hill country of Austin, Texas. Like who am I? Who am I? I did not expect this. I think I have like this Joanna Gaines dream fantasy of like living in this beautiful white cottage with or farmhouse, this white farmhouse with 4 or 5 bedrooms, garage, AC, a pool. Let's just do this. I have my 2 babies. I have a nanny. My mom comes and stays with me and lives with us. just so you know, in human design, I'm a specific manifester. So it's actually really good that I'm doing this because I'm very specific. Where I know Andrew is, I don't know if Andrew is a specific, but anyways, I'm a specific manifester. So it's really good for me to do this specifically. And some people, if you're not specific, you don't really want to get into the nitty gritty of things. Where for me, it's like if I get into the nitty gritty things, I'm more likely to achieve it. That's like really helped with my butt. Getting that peach bubble butt, bubble butt, bubble 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 butt. Hmm. Oh yeah, I was riffing. We have that home. Andrew's got his Tesla because he wants that Tesla so he can go into the city. We're only 30 to 45 minutes from the city, so he can drive in, which is weird because he's the introvert and I'm the ambivert. But he's like, I want to be able to drive into the city. I'm like, okay. And then for me, I mean, I don't know if I really want one, but I really would like a G Wagon. But if there's a better car, I feel like in a few years there's going to be a better car than a G Wagon. I don't really like the Teslas. We're going to already have a Tesla, so I want something else. And then what else? We have all that money stuff figured out, meaning we have retirements and we have investment account and savings account and emergency account, and then we have an account for the babies. The babies have accounts for them, and I just want like all that adult shit. I want all that adult stuff. I want all the things that my parents definitely could not give us or did not give us or didn't understand to give us, especially being immigrant parents. But I see my friends, like my friends that had like really good parents. I'm not saying my parents weren't good, but really, I would say really American type, really American type parents where they had, you know, the college fund and this and that and savings and everything all together. I want that. I want that so bad for us, and I want that so bad for my kids. I want to have everything organized and stacked, and I did not know and I did not appreciate or understand if I knew that I wanted that so badly because I saw what it did to my dad, us not having any savings and him losing his job and him losing a couple of jobs and then him having to go and be a trucker for a few years. And that was just like so damaging for his self-esteem, so damaging for his confidence, and so damaging for cash. Look at it all connect. And I now really firmly believe like the wounds and the trauma that you had as a kid are usually the blessings or the motivation, the ambition that you want as an adult. And I want to be extremely ambitious and I want to be extremely calculated, if that's the word, with our cash. And then I want to teach my kids that too. I don't want them to go down the route of being these spoiled, bratty kids because, I've actually heard this happen. I have a friend that works with a lot of high profile people. And she says that a lot of her clients, there are these like mega successful entrepreneurs, but they didn't start there, right? They started at ground zero. They didn't have the business. They were hustling. They were burning the midnight oil. They were doing all the things. And then they created this empire. They created this business and they live in La Jolla and they have these beautiful homes or Rancho Santa Fe or wherever in San Diego, that's Del Mar, wherever it's really nice. And then they have these kids, and these kids end up being like very ungrateful, bratty, not compassionate children. And the entrepreneur parents get very spiteful because they're like, wow, you don't even know what I had to go through. You don't even know what I had to struggle with. And I don't want that for my children. I want them to understand hard work. I want them to understand working smart. I want them to understand cash flow and profit and money. And I want them to understand a P&L sheets. I want them to understand these things because I would have loved to understand those things. I would have loved for my parents to have taught me that. And I've made peace that they didn't because I didn't have the education to teach me that. And I had to be self taught, I had to be self led. And now I'm here and I have a multiple six-figure company. I work for myself. I work with my husband. I have a small team. And for the most part, I can buy whatever I want, not all the time, but um, I'm really actually quite happy and I'm quite proud of myself. And I haven't been able to say that to myself ever really, that I'm actually really proud of you. And I'm really proud of you, Steffi, for really sticking with it and being magnetic and trying to find solutions and find your way and doing it very, very imperfectly. And that's where I want to leave with you is your message is always going to change. It's always going to evolve. It's always going to shift. You're going to have those you're going to have those mornings like I have today. Even as imperfect as this podcast has been, I've been, slurring my words, I've been yawning, I've been doing all the things, but it's the energy what I'm trying to emit. I'm trying to share with you. This is the energy of like what I'm wanting to create and what I'm wanting to do. And I'm really just really grateful you're here. And I appreciate you and I love you. And I hope you can take this moment to like really love up on yourself and love up on your messaging and your journey and what has taken you from A to H, wherever you are, right? I don't think we ever get to Z, but I'm just so proud of you and I'm so proud of myself. So let's be confidence, consistent, have the cash flow. Let's make this happen. And you know where to find me, steffylane.com, and take care. Thank you so much for joining me on the Magnetic Leader podcast. I'm so happy you're here. If you found this of value, please like, subscribe, and share this episode on your social media. I would be so appreciative, and it's really going to create a ripple effect for others. But wait, there's one more thing. If you are ready to dive deep into your magnetism, to understand your leadership, to understand what it takes to become a magnetic online leader, well, I've got something special for you. Head over to steffylane.com and sign up to become part of my exclusive magnetic list. You're going to get updates, personal invitations, insights, videos, a front row seat to your transformation because it's all happening and you definitely want to be in on it. Again, steffylane.com. And thank you from the bottom of my heart for joining us today. Your presence meant so much. So until next time, take care, and I'll catch you on the next episode of the Magnetic Online Leader Podcast.